Good morning, students. Welcome to the 2025 CHS Online Talk for Freshmen. If anyone has any questions during the talk, feel free to type your questions in the Q&A segment. Joining us this morning is the Deanery from Faculty of Science, Undergraduate Studies. We have with us our Vice Dean, Associate Professor Chu Fook Tim, and our Associate Deans, Associate Professor Ng Ka Lun and Associate Professor Lim Tiong Wee. For this morning's program, Vice Dean Associate Professor Chu Fook Tim will share more on the NUS Modular system and the CHS curriculum. Next, we will have Associate Professor Ng Ka Lun, who will bring us through the NUS Course Registration System, also commonly known as the CourseReg system. Without further ado, let me invite Prof. Chu. Prof. Chu, please.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our freshman briefing. Let me share the screen and slide, and we can get started. Okay. Eugene, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So as Eugene has mentioned, you're welcome to ask any question in the Q&A section, even while we are presenting. And one of our staff members will probably look at your question and we'll try to answer them on the spot itself. Yeah, so feel free to please ask us anything that you want to clarify, and then we will try as hard as possible. Towards the end of the talk also, there will be a email link as well if you have further questions. So feel free to drop us a line as well. Please note that this presentation will be recorded, as well as the slides will be shared with you through our general social media outlets, and we'll probably alert you of those links as well, okay? So let me just go through a brief overview of the NUS course or modular system and how we run our courses in NUS. And then after this, Professor Ng will give you a briefing on the CourseReg system, where you will go into to be able to get the courses that you require throughout your entire 4 years here, right? So the NUS system is run by a course system where we call every single subject a course, and this is in any way given a unique code. Each single course is given a unique code. Like these are the examples: PC 1101 and so on, LSM 2106. PC probably stands for the physics courses, LSM stands for the life science courses, and so on, right? So you get used to this after a while. And also what you will also notice is that the course code usually consists of 2 letters or 3 letters in the prefix that denotes the discipline, and then there will be 4 digits at the back. Now, the 4 digits at the back have certain meaning, yeah? So the first number here, number 1, means it's a level 1000 course, which means that it is usually taken in the first or sometimes the second year if you want to spread it out a little bit. That's for the first level. So something like this here, 4 means it's usually in the 4th year, but usually you also can take this between the 3rd and 4th year. That means this is a senior course. The second number denotes whether this is a compulsory or elective course, right? So if it's a PC, this is physics. 1 means it's a level 1000 first year course. 1 means this is a compulsory course for those majoring in physics. Similarly, here LSM, this is life science. This is a level 2000 year 2 course. You can take it in year 1 or year 2. And 2-1, the second number here means this is a compulsory for the major in those taking life sciences, and so on. So, and each of these courses are given a workload unit, and most of them are now denoted as about 4 units in terms of the workload. Now, 1 unit is equivalent about 2.5 hours of work that you will probably have to put in a week. Now, when we say 2.5 hours, it means you probably have to spend around, on the average, 2.5 hours in attending class, doing your own reading, doing your own preparation. Doesn't mean 2.5 hours of contact per unit. So if you have 4 units, what it means is that you probably spend about average 10 hours of actual contact hours, plus maybe your own study, doing your homework, getting your tutorials done. Now, of course, it varies from person to person. Sometimes some people are very efficient. They take up to 7, 8 hours. That's fine. Others, they take longer. But this is sort of a gauge to tell you how much time you need to commit to that course, right, on a weekly basis. There's also such a thing called prerequisite or preclusion. Prerequisite means that you will have to take that course, a particular course, before you take the course that you are interested in. The prerequisite to the course must be taken usually before you take the other course that required it, basically. On the other hand, the word preclusion means you cannot take a particular course together, or you cannot take a course that you have already taken the equivalent of at the end of the day. So these are just some of the general uh, um, definitions of how our modular system works, basically. Now, all of you will come into NUS and pursue your degree, and you will all have at least one major. You have to declare your major, right? And in the entire degree, you will use, you have a minimum of 160 units. Remember, if I go back here, the units here, every course is about 4 units. So 160 units in total for your 4 years will make about 40 courses. Now, 40 courses, you divide it by 8 semesters. If on the average you are here for 8 semesters, that's about 5 course per semester. That's the normal workload. Some people will take a little bit more, and some people will take a little bit less, depending on how you feel you are coping. Now, the primary major, later you will see, doesn't take up all 160. Yeah, there will be what we call common curriculum, and then your primary major, and you will have free elective space. Now, that is where some of you may decide to use your free elective space to pursue a second major. And this is optional. This is not something that is compulsory. Having a primary major is compulsory, but having a second major is optional. And a second major, you usually take the space where you have your unrestricted electives to then pursue your second major. Now, a second major is about the size of about 40 units, which is about 10 courses, yeah? And of course, some details here, at least 12 units or three courses must be at the higher level of the level 3000 and above, and so on, right? Now, this second major can be taken from either within the science faculty or within the College of Humanities and Science, or even if you want to do a double degree, you can take it even outside of CHS. Similarly, you can take a smaller option rather than a second major. You can take a minor, and again, this is optional. And a minor is about 20 units or 5 courses. Yeah. And those who want to do a particular major, say a primary major, but they want to do deeper, you can consider what we call a specialization. Now, this is usually a series of courses that's the size of a minor in the particular major. Say you are a major in life science and you want to specialize in something within life science, you can do that. And this is usually at the higher level, level 3, level 4000, where you can specialize. And usually it comes with a project as well, right? So these are the various ways you can actually pursue your degree. Now, in the next few slides, I will very briefly mention some of the academic policies and information, such as how a grade point average grading system. I won't go through in detail because there were so many things that you need to know, but I put them in this slide, and because we are going to share the slide with you as well as the talk with you, you probably want to spend some time looking at some of these policies because these will be important for you, right? And if you want the details are in the link that we have shared at this bottom here. So all of these things are already in the link, right? So I will just very briefly go through some of these pointers just to highlight to you that these are important things, but I will not go through the details like how you're going to calculate this and so forth. Just go into those links and then you do it in your own time and evaluate how you understand each of these policies. All of you, when you pursue your degree, you will have a grade point average, yeah? And this will track how you are doing over time. The grade point average basically is the total of all your grade points times the units that you have been taking, which is about 4 units each course, right? And in this next slide, I will show you what you mean by the course grade point, and then divide by how many units in total. So in total, if you have 160 units, this will be the denominator, and then you see what is the grade points. Now, this is how the grade point works. If you score an A or A plus in a particular course, you will get 5 grade points. You score A minus, 4.5, and so on. Of course, you get an F, you don't get any point. Now, you sum the whole thing up, multiply by how many units you have overall taken for that semester or for the whole degree, divide by how many units you have. That's your grade point. Usually we run on a 5 grade point system, meaning 5 is a perfect GPA. Afterwards, you see 2. If you get something below 2, you'll be on probation, right? And so you have to watch your grade point and so forth. There are some courses that, and also some situations where you don't get a grade point, you are exempted, for instance, or you have not yet complete the course over the semester, you want to continue in the next semester, or maybe the course is in progress. Sometimes you can what we call SU. SU stands for you don't get a grade, you just pass or you fail. Now, you pass the course, you get an S, you fail the course, you get a U. In both cases, you sort of don't really get affected in terms of your grade point, right? So I'll talk about the SU or satisfactory, unsatisfactory system. So when you graduate at the end of the 4 years, 4+ years, you will actually receive a classification for your degree, whichever the degree that you have, and so on. So if you finish with a grade point that is 4.5 and above, you will get an honors degree, which is called the highest distinction honors. And then these are the radiation of the rest of it. Now, of course, you must make sure you maintain at least a 2.0 because below that, you don't get or you don't graduate actually. So you have to watch this as we progress over the 4 years here. So remember, if you're not doing very well, we probably will try to catch you early. This is the sort of the threshold, yeah? If you drop below 2 in your GPA, you'll probably be placed on probation for 1 more semester. Now, if you get consecutively a GPA of 2 and below, then you may have the danger of being dismissed from your degree program. So this is critical, okay? Now, there are some of the other rules that I want to just quickly highlight, but I won't read through the whole thing. The slides will be shared with you. In the 160 units that you are taking for the whole degree, you must make sure that you don't all take the low-level courses only. There's a limit, yeah, of up to only maximum 60 units. Now, you take beyond 60 units, you can, but we won't count them as part of your requirement or part of counting towards your degree. There are a few exemptions, and these are some of the courses that are exempted from this total of 60. But you have to keep an eye on this, yeah? Now, many of times if you follow the study plan, you probably not fall into this situation. But if you are taking a lot of unrestricted electives and you want to try many other things, and many of them you just want to expose yourself, many of them maybe in the level 1000 courses, then you got to watch this limit of 60 units, right? So keep an eye on this because you don't want to have the danger of exceeding it and then finding that you actually haven't fulfilled your requirements. The other thing that you must keep an eye on also, because we will have a lot of opportunities for you to do a lot of things, both in Singapore and outside. You must realize that this is a degree from NUS, therefore there is a residency requirement, which means that at least 50% of your degree must be done in and completed in NUS, or at least it's a NUS course, basically. Yeah, and this is for your total degree, but in terms of major, second major, minors, at least 60% of your major, second major, or minor requirements must be completed as part of your residency in NUS. Okay. So there are other things like what is the maximum period, candidature period, and so forth. And this has implications on your tuition fee. Now, your normal tuition fee, if you're taking a single degree, a single major with a second major even, you have about 8 consecutive semesters where you pay the normal fees. Now, if you do a double degree, we can allow you up to 10 consecutive semesters, right? 5 years on a normal fee. Not that you cannot take longer if you don't, if you feel you need the longer period, you can, but these longer periods will incur additional fee in terms of the new fee policy. So keep an eye on this. You don't want to be taking your own sweet time as well, but then after that, realize that you incur slightly higher fees beyond the 8 consecutive or 10 consecutive semesters. Now, this is the interesting thing for you all when you come into NUS. There is such a thing called grade-free semester of grade-free year. All first-year students, yes, that's including all of you, you will have the option of exercising SU. SU stands for satisfactory or unsatisfactory grade. In other words, if you do a particular course, you try a particular course, and then you get a grade, and then you don't want to have that grade shown, you can have the option of electing the course to be graded just as a satisfactory or unsatisfactory. This means that you just pass, you don't have it affecting your GPA essentially. Why is this useful? This is useful for you to so that explore, so that you can explore things that you may not necessarily be familiar with. You just want to try, and then you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to be able to do very well? So even if you get a grade that is very low, C grade, D grade, you still pass actually. And as you pass, you don't want that D grade or C grade to reflect, you can elect for SU. You will see the grade, and then you can have a few days, 3 days, for example, to choose whether you want that grade to be reflected or you want that grade to be just reflected as I pass, satisfactory. Okay. Of course, if you fail, then you get the unsatisfactory, basically. Now, you have up to 32 units of SU options. In other words, up to 8 courses, especially in the first year and so on. And then if you don't use up these 32 units of SU, you can subsequently carry forward up to 12 units, right? And you don't have to make that decision within that very semester, but you can make the SU decision after you review your courses and review your grades after that same academic year. What I mean by academic year is right now, you're going to come in August, you're going to be the academic year of 2025-26. After you've taken your August semester courses, you did well in many of them, but maybe one or two you didn't do that well. You can choose to just hold on to it first, and then by the end of the second semester, which is the same academic year, 25-26, you decide, I want to I want to just use the pass-fail grade for one of the course or two of the courses or many of the courses that you have taken even in the first semester. And then you make that decision. You can make the decision in the first semester, but you can make that decision at the end of the second semester and so on, right? So that you still have what we call the grade-free semester or grade-free year. This is again, like I said, for you to be able to learn towards settling down in the NUS, settling down without getting really obsessed with grades, taking the opportunity to take something new, maybe take something that you have never taken before, and have the attitude or mindset towards learning in the university setting, right? Don't go and just chase for grades alone. So this is the SU option, right? And towards the semester, when there's some development coming along, and I will let registrar office or the provost office give you the announcement. So this is what you will be assigned. Anything that is grade D and above, if you so elect, you don't have to use the option, but if you so elect, you can elect to use a S grade, means you pass and so forth. Now, however, if you elect to use a SU grade on an essential module or essential course, right? That essential course, remember the one that is listed as the second number 1. Now, those, if you fail or if you use a U grade, you will have to repeat that course anyway because it's essential. Now, please take note, however, that the SU scheme, is only for courses that are all level 1000 courses and selected level 2000 courses without any NUS prerequisites, or those that are from the language center, all levels. Only these courses are eligible for SU. So many of your first year courses will probably qualify, but some of your second year courses are prerequisite to the first year, then those cannot be SU. Now, of course, there are other rules, like if you have failed or you have been caught cheating or plagiarizing, the moment you are put into a disciplinary action, you are not allowed to SU. Okay. So these are some of the conditions when you are not allowed to SU. Now, please note that once you have exercised this SU option, grade-free option, this is not changed, cannot be changed again. You cannot, after not exercising it, and then in the fourth year come and tell us, hey, yeah, I didn't exercise in my first year. No, you cannot do that at the end of your fourth year. Yeah. So please make a good decision about this. Talk to your seniors about how to do this well. And then I think you probably enjoy the time you're here. So all of you are here because you've been given a letter of admissions and you're thinking of what you want to do. You've been actually admitted to a 4-year direct honors program at the College of Humanities and Sciences. The degree that you will get either, if you choose to, of course, if you're coming to science, you're hearing the science briefing, all your degrees will be BSc honors, basically. Of course, you can take a second degree if you want, with a BA in FASS, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, or even the Social Sciences degree, Bachelors of Social Science honors. And I even mentioned that you actually have option to even take a second degree, even for example, in engineering, business school, and the other faculties as well. Very quickly, I'm sure you have heard this many times already, and I hope you are now all familiar with how CHS degrees are structured, right? You have 40 courses in general, 160 units per degree, because each course here is about 4 units. Your major has about 15 courses. This is your major requirements. The majority of your degree will be in your major. Everybody will have a major. Some people will want to take a second major, that's 10 courses. Some people want to take a minor, that's 5 courses. Some people want to specialize within the major and do a higher level specialization, that's also another 5 courses. All these other things in your second major, minor, you actually can use your unrestricted elective space to do all that, right? And one thing I want to highlight here as well is that although your minimum requirement is 160 units here, doesn't mean you are allowed to only do 160 units here. Of course, in your first semester, we try to say, why don't you just come in first and do 5 courses, which is 20 units. But in your second, third, and subsequent semesters, you are allowed to take more, actually. 100 in terms of 5 courses, some people take 6. Some people even take up to 7 courses. But of course, don't try to be a superhero and take so many things and then you can't cope. You want to be able to do well, but at the same time, you want to be able to also enjoy yourself while you are at the studying here at the university. Do many things. There are many opportunities for you to do this, right? So essentially, I think you must have heard this enough. There's a major requirement, 15 courses, 160 units out of the 160. The CHS common curriculum will take up about 13 courses, and then you have the free elective space where you can do anything you want. Uh, Pursue a second major, minor, specialization, and many, many more things. Okay, so this is the common curriculum, the part that everybody has to do, right? You will take written course, communications course, community and engagement course, design thinking, and so on. Now, many of these, some of them will be pre-allocated to you already within the first year so that you don't have to go and select the course. The course and cohort is very big, so we will try to divide them into group A, group B. Some will take it in the first semester, others will take certain things in the second semester. And then at the higher level, later on, you will take higher level interdisciplinary courses. Now, I do advise you to go and attend the individual major briefings. They will have the detailed study plans for each of the different majors, and those who want to pursue a second major, second degree, how are you going to be able to do that in terms of the study plan? So attend the major briefings later on in the afternoon as well. We've made special arrangements, and again, I don't want to give you the details straight away here. You can go into the details under this link here. And remember, we will share the slide and we will share the talk with you. These special arrangements are, for example, if you want to do a double degree between a science degree and a degree in engineering, for example, what are the common courses or what are the common curriculum courses that we can double count and share so that you end up not taking double the common curriculum because CDE, which is the engineering faculty and the college, have their common curriculum too. And we sort of map what you can do if you want to pursue a double degree between science and engineering. So look this up, and it's already somewhat in the website as well. And you're not sure, do email the email that we have put at the end. Similarly, if you are part of other programs in the university, for example, some of you may be interested in taking the special program in science, which is going to give you the briefing in the afternoon. Or some of you are also part of the NUS college, which will have their own common curriculum, right? And then others may be in part of the U-Town residential college like Tembusu or RC4 and so on, right? So if you're staying in those colleges or RVRC even, they have their own special program. We have mapped them all so that you don't have to do double work. If you are, for example, in the NUS college, These are some of the courses in NUS College, which if you take them, they will be counted as part of our CHS community and engagement here. If you take this one, or any of the other courses under data literacy, they can be counted under data literacy pillars as well. So then you don't have to take one in NUS College and one here in CHS. They will already be recognized in both places as well. So these are some of the listing. You don't have to memorize this. As you go, the framework is given to you, and this is shared in this other website here as well. Okay. Now, this will help you take advantage of all the different programs that you're interested in. And if you're part of NUS College, for example, or part of SPS, for example, there's no need for you to do double work. You will have, for example, you take this course in SPS, this will be part of the data literacy or digital literacy, and so on. So we've probably heard many times already during our outreach and briefing in about CHS. Our students do a lot of things. Our students can come in and they choose to only just focus on their major, and then they use the other unrestricted electives just to take separate courses individually. They will still get a degree. The degree will be a science degree because the major is a science major, and this is total, you still get about 160 units minimum. You can do more, but minimum is 160 according to the framework. You could also choose to be a major and take 2 minors, and this is possible because a minor is 5 courses, and then the second minor is 5 courses, and there's enough space in the unrestricted elective for you to do this. And sometimes some minors, especially those that are related to your major of interest, you may double count certain things as well. Right? And who says you only can do 160? You can do more if you want. Remember, sometimes in the semester you can take more. You can also have the summer courses where you can take other courses as well. Other students may choose to take one minor only, and then remaining space they use up for other things that they are interested in. Take a language course, for instance. Yet others may choose to do a second major, and this is a primary major, this is a second major. Primary major is 15, second major is 10 courses. And then they have maybe still a little bit more space that they want to do something else, as long as they fulfill all the degree requirements. Now, if you want to, you can also do a contrasting major. Contrasting major means you can't do science and another science, yeah? Contrasting major means you can do a science, say, in life science, and a contrasting major, say, in psychology, in social science. That you can gain a double major, not just a double degree. This is 15 courses for your primary in life science, for example, and 15 courses in psychology, for example, and many more. A lot of students are now actually pursuing this. This, you end up with a double degree. And maybe sometimes it takes a little bit longer if you want. You can have up to 4.5 to 5 years to do this on a normal fee paying. And actually, some students will accelerate. Yeah. So the pathway that you take is really up to you. You decide. And you make that declaration every semester as you come so that you can actually plan your timetable and get priority for the courses. These are some of the specializations I mentioned. Specialization are things that you want to pursue even further in depth within your particular major. And if you're in chemistry, for example, you can specialize further at the higher level, level 3, level 4,000, in chemical research, sustainable chemistry. In the coming semester, we will probably have also a new specialization on medicinal chemistry. And then those who are in data science and analytics, these are some of the specializations, and so on. I won't name them all, but you can see these are many of the specializations that you can actually pursue at the higher level. And this is similar to a specialization is about the size of a minor as well. So in other words, you could still have a major, a specialization, and maybe even space enough for another minor somewhere else as well. So these are the many things you can do. Now, What's interesting is that in the coming academic year, the year that you guys are coming in next semester onwards, we already have a new second major and a minor in computing for science. In other words, this is specially arranged because computing is so competitive and so there is a limit to how many they can take. We've come up with a second major in computing. You will take exactly more or less a similar course, but at the same time, there is a focus on pursuing this, getting the same basics as those that are taking in computing, but then you have elective courses that you apply computing in many of your scientific field, whatever the major that you are in. In life science, there's a lot of applications and work that you can do within computing, in food science, in physics, and all the majors that we have here as well, in data science and so on. So this is new, and this is sort of the core courses. There are 24 units of the core courses that are listed here. These are all computing courses, similar if you were to take a major in computing. These are also the core courses that you will probably have to take, right? And if you want to take a minor instead, you can choose to do this. Now, of course, you can take it stepwise. You want to take a minor first and then slowly go up to a second major. That is also possible. Then there's a whole series of elective courses. Many of these elective courses are elective courses in science that you apply many of the computing technologies and computing systems that you have already built your foundation from. So this is exciting, and this is actually new, will be launched the year you guys are here, which is coming August, basically. Now, just to give you a picture of what your seniors are doing, yeah, many of your seniors are actually taking the flexibility within CHS, and they are taking, a lot of them are taking many things, yeah. For example, these are your graduating seniors, those who are already graduating this year. This year, their commencements, they're having their commencement this year. These are the third year going to fourth year. These are the second year. And then these were the last year's freshmen, and these last year's freshmen are going to second year this year. You can see about a third of them, and it's been growing, yeah? About a third of them have a second major that they declared. And on top of that, even in the last year senior, your second year seniors now, about a third of them have a second major that they want to pursue. They, on top of that, there's another 40% of them have minors or two minors. And of course, it's too early for them to specialize, but they already say, you know what, I want to try to do this. And you can see as they go on to the third year and fourth year, they actually also specialize. About a third of them also specialize. So a lot of students are actually doing this. And you can see about only 20%, right? These numbers here are not so accurate yet because they haven't had the opportunity to minor, specialize, or do a second major, that they're still thinking of it in their first year. But because you are allowed to try to declare all the way to your second year, right? So you can see on the average, by the time they are in their second and third year, about only 20% will only have one major, and that's it. Majority of them are pursuing a second major, minor, or they intend to pursue a specialization. There are a handful who want to then take it further to say, I want to do a double degree. As I mentioned, a double degree can be those that are between CHS, within CHS, with FASS, as long as you have a contrasting major, and you can do it with any of the majors in FASS, arts or social sciences. You want a double degree in outside of the CHS, that is also possible. There are two types. Yeah? Those that are structured. Structured means we already have the program and already have the plan. And this is very common amongst those who are, because this is a common one, amongst those who want to have a mathematics and computer science, for example, or vice versa, computer science and mathematics. And I could replace mathematics with statistics or data science and all that as well, right? So this is that group, because this group is the most common double degree program people. So we have that as a structure. But Doesn't mean that we don't have it structured for you, you cannot pursue. You can. You can design it yourself. You can design it within CHS, or you can design it even outside CHS with, for example, the College of Design and Engineering. You can have an engineering degree coupled with your science degree, for example. And I remember I told you we already have the agreement of how we can count which course for your common curriculum, either in CDE or CHS. Same thing for computing or business school, right? So the most common ones are mathematics and computer science, or all the quantitative sciences with computer science, or even with engineering and so on. Now, a double degree program, when do you do this? Well, you can try to take it one step at a time. You take a minor first, then you go on to a second major, and then by the time you are already clear, oh, I think I can do this. I actually can handle two majors, and I want to do all the way to get a double degree. Then you should declare your intent to enroll in a double degree just after completing between 60 to 80 units. Now, this is about 1 year, 1.5 years period, right? And you must maintain a good GPA. If you have a good GPA, we are confident that you can pursue your double degree and finish it all the way, right? So I've got some links here. You can link it and then have more details as well. So this is an example that you can actually pursue your double degree with one major in CHS, and there are 32 types of majors across CHS, yeah, in both science and the arts faculty. And then the major in CDE, all the engineering majors are possible, right? Mathematics with engineering, any of the engineering majors, economics with engineering, physics with engineering science, and so on. So these are those that are what I call within CHS, you should, if you want to pursue a double degree, you must do a contrasting major. Contrasting means one in science and one in arts and social sciences, or one in arts itself. These are some of the examples. Or you want to do it with computing. This is double degrees with computing. And then these are with the engineering combinations, for example. Okay, so do consider some of these if you're interested. And if you're not sure how to get along, come in and email us and we will show you one step at a time. Now, I won't go into some of the details here. What I wanted to show you here, that actually it's not like you're going to do 2 degrees and then you're going to spend like, oh, 4 years here, 4 years there. No, because the common curriculum already has been mapped together so that there are some courses that you do in a common curriculum, say in engineering, and then common curriculum in science, that you don't have to do double. On top of that, there are some courses, like some of these that I have uh, listed here, for example, in math and engineering, right? Some of these are actually courses that you can actually count or double count, essentially. In other words, you have taken one, it is counted both in your engineering major as well as potentially in your science major, in this case, mathematics. And then this is another example. You've taken this in engineering, and then you take this in physics. You just need to take one of them. You don't have to choose one and then take another again, basically. So there are options for what we call double counting them at the end of the day. So the details, depending on which major and which second major or second, double degree you want to pursue, these details will be shared with you as long as you are interested. Not all double majors or double degrees have this kind of share, especially we only have them if they are quite related in nature. For example, many of the engineering science and physics, they are built on the basis of physics actually. So therefore, those can be double counted. Now, I mentioned to you, you have actually a lot of opportunities to do many things here. And the next couple of slides, I want to show you and excite you that in the 4 years that you are here, you will have not only courses to take, both in the common curriculum or within your majors, You want to also expose yourself to experiences. Many of these experiences includes, in this case, research experience, right? Our research experience program is open to most students, and then they usually start in year 2 even, all the way to year 3, and then maybe in year 4 sometimes. Some people want to take even as a final year project. This is called the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program in Science, or Europe. Now, as many as 300 to 400 students take Europes every year. Yeah, so actually, science students are very active in pursuing research programs one-on-one. This is your personal program. You can go into any of the labs in the whole of the science faculty, and then choose to say, I like to be a student taking a Europe project under you, under a professor. And you can do this for 1 semester, or you can do this for 2 semesters, the whole year. And some students will take uh, Europes in a year 2, and then they continue on a whole year, and they continue on to their final year, and so on as well, so that they build up their repertoire and their CVs and their experience. But Europe's research opportunity is not the only thing you can do. If you want to expose yourself to teaching, especially if you are a senior student, you want to teach some of the lower level students, you can also expose yourself to teaching opportunities. This is called UTOPS, or UTOP, UTO, actually PS. Okay. And this allows you to gain credits as well, up to 8 units in a UE space if you want to expose yourself, especially if you're, for example, maybe you're an MOE scholar and you want to have some experience teaching even in the undergraduate levels. You can do that in tutorial sessions, lab sessions, and so forth. Others may want to choose to go for internship. And according to our graduate employment survey, our own students declare that about 80% of our students would have taken an internship at any one time during their 4 year or during their degree program. And internships are really good because they give you the opportunity to have a real life experience, real job experience in the field that you're interested in. And we have a portal for us to be able to have all those companies that want to have interns, they register in, and our students go in, and we have a whole list of them, few hundred of them in that list. And you can also choose to self-source. In other words, you know your own connections, you want to consider, and you want to gain credits for this. This is also possible. Now, what's interesting about UPIP, they call it, this internship program is called UPIP. Um, they don't only get credits, many of them turn into future job offers. From our statistics, at least about 30–40% of them actually convert into future job offers eventually. And it's not that 30–40% only gets a job offer, it's because our students also may not want to choose that particular job at the end of the day after they've gone through the internship. So, but as many as 1/3 of them actually have been offered back a position in the future when they actually graduate. So that's an interesting thing for you to consider, having an internship so that you have first-hand experience of the job market out there. There's also study abroad programs. Yeah, so we have detailed study abroad programs for those very intense ones. They have a joint degree with Dundee. This is mostly for life science majors only. Or you have what we call a concurrent degree program for life science students who want to go on to do a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine in Melbourne. This is 3+1+3 years, where you actually get your life science degree plus then after that a DVM. For those interested in this one, the Department of Biological Sciences will be sending out within the first semester or two what are the requirements and who are those that are interested to be interviewed for this concurrent degree. In the coming year, we also have potentially a concurrent degree in another Doctor of Veterinary Medicine with Edinburgh as well in the future as well. There are those who are interested in the French double degree, the Ecogrand Polytech in France. These are the top universities in the French university system. And these are mostly for the math, stats, as well as for the physics group as well. And then the Waseda University double degree is usually for those who are in the NUS college, yeah, both in the FSS and also science as well. These are the very intensive ones. If you are interested, you have to wait for the email from the respective departments during the first semester or so, or maybe the subsequent semesters as well. However, many of our students, we sent about 450 to 400 plus students every year overseas, yeah, for a student exchange program. And we have close to 300 partners all over the world, yeah. And this is a very popular program. If you don't get to go for the student exchange for the whole semester, there are also other programs such as the summer and winter programs. These are shorter. There are also summer research opportunities where you can go to places like Oxford and things like that for research. And then there's also at the NUS college. Yeah. So you see, you have to, apart from just getting all your courses ready, you have to make time for some of these experiential exposures. About 60–70% of our students will have spent some time overseas doing any one of these programs. Yeah. So NUS College is another one. Currently in science, about close to 50 plus students go to one of these NUS college around the world, whether this is for a short stint or even for a longer stint. Yeah, and we have many NUS colleges now in more than 15 locations. Some of the more popular ones like Silicon Valley and so forth are very popular. So this is also something that you can wait for the call. So it's important to watch your email box. Yeah, these calls that will come through your email box, and then we will send you EDM to have a look. Throughout your 4-year period here as well, we will also be sending you what we call credit bearing. You get credits for this exposure to industries, not just only in Singapore, but also around the world, especially in our Asian countries around Singapore, because they are growing and we want to know what's happening there as well. So you can take this elective course, for example, SP240, Science and Technology Global Industry Insights, where you go to, for example, this one will be in Vietnam, there will be some in India, some in China, some in other places as well. So have a look out, and some are focused on, for example, some are focused on data science, some are focused on pharmaceutical sciences, others are focused on other aspects of technology in chemistry, food science, and so forth. We also have our global classroom. That means these are our courses in NUS, but actually all or part of them will be run overseas, right? For example, I run this course and this course in Hokkaido. We just had it in Hokkaido in just during the summer, and this is where they were planting rice, for example, and making jam tarts and so on. So this is available, and this is usually during the summer periods as well. So at this point, let me just stop here. And I hope this gives you a flavor of all the different things that you can actually do while you're here. After this, we will give you a short break, and then those who want to stay on to ask questions, you can. I see there's a lot of questions in the Q&A as well, but we'll have a short break and then followed by my colleague, Prof. Ng, who will then show you how to register for courses, all right? And what are the details, what's the system like as well. So Eugene, back to you, Eugene.
Thank you, Prof. Chu. Okay, so we have come to the end of the first part of today's talk. So we will resume the session at 10:30, and then afterwards, we have Prof. Ng who will bring us through the course registration system. Right. So in the meanwhile, as Prof. Chu mentioned, do keep the questions coming. Okay, I'll see you all at 10:30. Okay, now it's 10:30 a.m. Next, let me invite Associate Professor Ng Ka Lun, who will share with us the course registration system. Prof. Ng, please.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see my screen. So this is Prof. Ng from the Science Dean's Office, and one of my responsibility is to look after this system, which is probably going to be very new to many of you because you've not experienced anything like this prior to coming to the university. So there will be a lot of information and details, but I hope we will not reach a stage of overloading you. Please try to pay attention to some of the very important information, for example, deadlines and so on and so forth. Try to get as much out of this briefing as possible. I'm sure there will be questions after this, but we'll try our best to answer them. So let me begin now. So the first thing I would like to talk about is on the core curriculum courses that will be pre-allocated to you over the course of the first 2 years. So as you have been briefed by Professor Chiu earlier, the common curriculum comprises of a total of 13 courses. All right, and these are some of those amongst the 13. There are 4 HS coded courses. These are what we call the integrated courses, and you must read each of them. There's one on quantitative reasoning that falls under the data literacy requirement, one on design thinking, and then for FASS majors, there are specific writing and digital literacy courses as well, whereas for FOS majors, writing and computational thinking, or rather digital literacy requirement, can be fulfilled by taking one of from a selection of a few possible courses. So for FASS majors, these are specific, but for FOS majors, there are choices. So the pre-allocation table goes something like this. So as you can see, the HSA, HSH, HSI, and HSS courses, as well as the GA and DTK courses, will be pre-allocated to you in either SEM 1 or SEM 2 of your first year. Right? This is together with your declared majors gateway course. Right? So depending on which is the major that you declare, the gateway course will be pre-allocated to you in either SEM 1 or SEM 2, most likely in SEM 1. This will give you an idea of what the major of that you're intended to study will be like before you decide in the long run whether this is really the major that you want to pursue. Now, some notes on the pre-allocation of courses. So from the table before, I've shown you that those courses can be pre-allocated to you in either semester 1 or 2. So for the 4 HS coded courses, you will be pre-allocated 2 out of the 4 in either semester. So there is no specific combination which 2 out of the 4, but by and large, most of you will get 2 out of the 4 in SEM 1 and the other 2 in SEM 2. Now, together with these 4 HS coded courses, you will be given an additional course in either semester, either DTK 1234 or GA 1000. Now, there are certain exceptions for this particular course, this particular pair. Some of you who are in certain special programs may not be reading GA 1000 or DTK 1234 in your semester 1 or 2 because you have special program requirements as well. For example, those of you who are in residential colleges, you may have college requirements that needs to be read as well. Okay, now for GA 1000, like I mentioned, it is one of the courses that can be used to fulfill the data literacy requirement, but there are other advanced courses in that basket where if you choose to read those advanced courses, you can request to drop GA 1000, which is the default one, and then try to get yourself registered into the more advanced level courses like DSA's gateway course, DSA 1100, that can be used as a replacement to GA 1000. Okay, so without going into too much details, so please refer to our website for the detailed process on how to drop GA 1000 and replace it with a higher level or more advanced data-related course. FOS majors will also have to fulfill a writing and communication course, SP 1541 or the X version, which I will talk about a little bit later on. So this is a writing and communication requirement that all students would have to pass before they graduate. Okay, as for digital literacy, there will be a list of courses that will fulfill this requirement. And again, these are selected through the CourseReg process. So gateway courses are prerequisites to higher level courses required for your major or second major or minor. So sometimes a gateway course for your major may be oversubscribed. If that's the case, you may not get them in semester 1. You will only get them in semester 2. So you must declare your primary major before the 16th of July, before the gateway course for your declared primary major will be pre-allocated to you. All right. So if you miss that deadline, or if for whatever reason you decide not to do that declaration before 16th June, you can still try to obtain a seat in the gateway course that you want during the actual CourseReg period itself, but this will be subject to quota availability. So if you are really keen on your primary major or your intended primary major, please make sure you do your declaration before 16th July. That will almost guarantee you a seat in the gateway course of your intended primary major. So let me move into the declaration stage. So a week from now, starting 14th July, you will be able to go into the CourseReg system to start your declaration, right? So just a quick slide here to differentiate the tell you the difference between what is called the declaration process and what is the application process. So the declaration process are for primary majors, second majors, and minors that are open in nature, meaning anyone, as long as you have the necessary pre-university prerequisite for that particular major, you'll be able to make that declaration in the system to declare yourself as a student intending to do that primary, secondary, or open or minor. All right. So when this happens is that it will take place before every course registration period at the beginning, before the start of every semester. As opposed to the declaration stage, the application window does not happen during or rather before before the start of every semester. The application stage is for students who intend to apply for a second major or a restricted minor. So these are second majors or minors that requires application, and your application does not necessarily guarantee acceptance into these restricted second majors or minors. But you will need to put in an application, and this happens during the reading week of every semester, and successful applicants will have the restricted second major or minor added to their plan from the following semester onwards. Okay, so this is just to make sure that everybody is clear between the difference between the declaration as well as the application. So everybody is now at the start. In fact, we are not at the start yet. We are 1 week away from the start of the declaration window being open. All right. So I'm going to guide you through the process of how to arrive at the start of the semester where you have all your courses in place. So as mentioned, declaration to be completed every semester. All right. And allows for students to make those declarations, and you must make those declarations before you are allowed to participate in course registration. Now, please take note that the declaration needs to be done at least 24 hours before round 1 begins, because it takes that amount of time for the system to sync in your declaration, right? So do not leave it to the last minute to do your declaration and say, oh, how come I declared my major 30 minutes ago, but I'm not able to access CourseReg, all right? So make sure you give yourself a buffer of at least 24 hours for the declaration to sync in before you are allowed into the CourseReg system. Okay, so once you have done your I understand that there is actually a student registration exercise that has already happened, right? And for those of you who have indicated your preference during your student registration exercise, you have actually already been tagged with your primary major in accordance to what you have given us during that preference, the student registration exercise. However, that declaration is not binding, meaning that you can still go into the academic plan declaration if you have a change of mind, all right, to do that declaration or change that declaration to something else. All right, but once you have done that formal declaration in the system, you are not allowed to make changes to it within the same semester. In the subsequent semesters, just like what I've mentioned before the start of the CourseReg system, you can go in and change your declaration to something else. All right, while this provides the flexibility and the non-binding kind of arrangement, I would advise against students changing declarations too often. All right, because every primary major, second major, and so on have their own set of major requirements. So if you were to change your declarations too often, then you may be delayed in the fulfillment of these major requirements and therefore have an impact on your ability to complete your requirements before you graduate in 4 years' time. All right, so while it's good and flexible for everyone to try out or to leave the options open, but most students would have zeroed in on their intended primary majors by the beginning of year 2, for example. Okay. So how do we access this declaration system? So this is basically through EduReg. So you log into EduReg. Under my homepage, navigate to academics, and then that will lead you to the academic plan declaration page. All right, there is a step-by-step guide prepared by the Office of University Registrar. So please follow that guide if you need guidance on how to go about doing this declaration in the system. Now, the NUS Mods is a very useful website where all of you should bookmark it in your browsers because it allows you to simulate how your timetable is going to look like if you were to choose this combination of courses to be read in a particular semester. However, note that what you see on NUS Mods when you do your simulation is not guarantees. Does not guarantee you that you will successfully be allocated these courses. So whether you are successful in being allocated these courses or not still depends on whether you are successful in the CourseReg process, which I will explain in a short while. All right, but this is a good simulator for you to see how your timetable is going to be like if you are successful in getting what you want. Now, because of the many different courses that the faculty and the university offers, it is not possible every time that all the courses that you want to read will fit in nicely into your timetable. Inevitably, there will be timetable clashes. There will be examination dates and time clashes if you were to choose certain courses that cannot be fitted into the same semester. So normally, the faculty will not support waivers of timetable examination clashes. All right. Only for very special situations where students have to read a particular course in order to graduate in their final semester, all right, will the faculty consider such appeals to waive timetable clashes. Examination timetable clashes are almost never successfully appealed because examinations are a very important aspect of the course that you are taking. So therefore, there's no way you can say, oh, let me take this course that clash, but then can you have a makeup exam for me at the end of the semester just for me, because I have a timetable clash for exams. That is usually not allowed. All right, and also to take note that while the lecture timetables may not clash, please pay attention to the tutorials or the lab timetables as well, because for you to successfully take a course, you must have the ability to attend not just the lectures, but have the ability to attend tutorials and the labs as well. So for example, if there's only one tutorial group or one lab group for a particular course, you must make sure that the timing for that tutorial group or that lab group does not clash with the lecture timing of another course that you intend to read. Okay, there is a policy that guides how many courses or how many units you are allowed to register each semester. So this table shows that it is dependent on your GPA, because your GPA is a reflection on how you have been coping with your studies. Okay, so depending on your GPA, you may or may not be allowed to do more than the usual or the default average number of units in every semester. Now, for most of you coming in as a freshman in your first semester, the default academic workload for you will be 23 units. 23 units is 1 unit short of typically 6 courses. So most of you will be doing 5 courses in your first semester. All right. There are certain exceptions, as the footnote on this slide shows. So for those of you who are in special programs, may be given provision to go beyond 23 units in your first semester. And I must also mention that there is a minimum workload most of the time for all students in 8 out of 18 units. But there can be exceptions to this. For example, if students who are given permission to underload due to a variety of reasons, sometimes, for example, due to health issues, students may not be able to take on a full load of 23 units or beyond. So underloading is possible with approval. So due to the pre-allocation of courses, like I mentioned, in your year 1, semester 1 and 2, you will not be involved in selecting many courses, because most of the time, by the time you log into the CourseReg system for the first time, some of the you will already have 2 or sometimes even 3 courses allocated to you. All right. However, the knowledge and the ability to navigate through the CourseReg system is still important, because you still need to secure 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 courses, and also the use of the CourseReg system for the balloting of your tutorial as well as your lab time slots. Okay, so just to remind everyone, declare your major by 16th July, 2 p.m. If possible, try to do so by a little bit earlier, because remember the 24-hour sync in, and then declare your majors by 16th July to have a gateway course pre-allocated. And if you miss that, then at least declare your major by 20th July, 9 a.m., which is 24 hours before the CourseReg round 1 begins on the 21st July, 9 a.m. Okay? Okay, let me now move into giving you more details on how the CourseReg system, as well as some of the features of the CourseReg system, how it looks like. So take note of the time frame for the CourseReg this semester at the bottom of this slide, 21st July until 5th of August. So suppose now you have arrived at the time of assessing CourseReg. All right, so what are some of the considerations that you need to take care of or be mindful of? Okay, so once you log into CourseReg via EduReg, all right, you will see this menu on the left-hand side of your home page. And this menu contains many different features, some of which are applicable to you and should be of interest, some of which are not. Okay, so I won't go through every single one of them, but most of the descriptions that I've put on this slide are self-explanatory. All right, so this should be the first page that you will see and you can use the menus on the left to navigate to the various sub pages. So for this upcoming round of CourseReg, it will start, as mentioned, on the 21st July, and that is round one. Round one runs for a day and a half. Well, not a day and a half, a day and 3 hours. So it starts on the 21st July, 9 o'clock, and it first round closes on the 22nd of July at noon. So from the 22nd of July to the start of round two, students will be informed of whether they have been successful or not in the courses that they tried to register for. And round two starts on the 29th July and again runs for a day and 3 hours before it closes on the 30th July. There is a final round in round three that starts on the 4th of August and ends the next day. So what is the difference between these rounds, right? So round one is what we normally call protected round, because students will be assessing, or rather be able to see and try to register for the courses that are used to fulfill their program requirements, okay? As well as their second major or restricted minors requirements. Okay, so these are really for students to prioritize for the courses because these are their core requirements that they need to fulfill. So they get the first bite of the cherry, right, for students who are able to access these courses in round one. So do not be surprised that, for example, if you are a math major, you'll be able to access certain math courses in round one. Whereas if your friend is not a math major, but trying to read a course, the same course as an elective or unrestricted elective, then they may not be able to see that course in round one. They may only be able to see that course in rounds 2 or 3, because round 2 or 3 are what we call open rounds, and students will be able to select courses across a much bigger spread, because that's when the courses open up for everybody else. Okay, so these are general principles and differentiations between rounds 1 as well as 2 and 3, but sometimes there may be still variation across different hosts of the courses that you want to read. All right, so step-by-step guides are again prepared by OUR, and you can access them via the link shown in this slide. Now, so CourseReg is a priority-based system. So most of the time, when you are trying to register for a course, the system will recognize a few things. One is, what are you reading this? What are you intending to read this course to fulfill? So what are you registering this course for? Is it to fulfill your primary major requirement, or to read this to fulfill your minor requirement? All right, so program requirements is taken into consideration. Very important factor to determine whether you get prioritized or not. Second component is the student's seniority. So whether you are trying to read this course and you are a senior student in your 4th year, or you're trying to read this course as a 1st-year student. So naturally, student seniority priority will be given to senior students because they don't have many semesters left before they have to graduate, whereas a year 1 student will still have more opportunities to read this course in the years down the road. And more importantly, at the end, there's also a preference ranking. So all of you, when you submit your course registration process, when you go through that process, you'll be asked to rank. So for a particular course, do you put that as your rank 1, or do you put that as a rank 3? So the same student, the same course, right, putting the same course in different ranks would result in a differentiation in the priority score computed for that course. Okay, so this slide shows the ranking, or rather the ordering as to who is going to be prioritized. But these 3 components are essentially what goes in to determine who gets priority to be registered for a course. All right. Now, all this is only relevant if the total number of students who wants to take a course in a particular round exceeds the number of quota there is. All right. If there is enough quota to fulfill every single one's request, then nobody should be denied a place. All right, so this kind of priority ranking only comes into action when we have more demand than there is supply of courses. Course space, I wouldn't say, right? Course space. Now, in the event that there is a need to tie break, right? So suppose there is not enough place to go around and everybody's priorities points is the same. So what are some of the tiebreakers that can be used by the system to decide who gets that last slot in a particular course? I have shown a few of these possible tiebreakers that can be used. Now, I'm going to go through a few hypothetical scenarios so that everybody understands how this priority-based system works. Imagine this first scenario, Jack and Jill both wanted to select a particular chemistry course. The program requirement, or rather the program details for Jack is that he is a math major, but reading this chemistry course as a second major requirement, whereas Jill is a chemistry major and reading this course as a primary major requirement. Imagine everything else being the same. They are both in their year 2 of studies. They have both ranked this particular chemistry course as their first choice, right? Rank 1 preference, okay? So in this case, obviously, Jill will get priority over Jack to be allocated the course. So if there's only one slot left and it is a decision between Jack and Jill, Jill gets it. Reason is simple, because Jill is reading this as a primary major requirement, and primary majors has priority over second majors. Okay. Second scenario, it is a psychology course now. Ariel and Belle both selected this course. Both of them are, again, everything else being equal, year 2s, and both of them have selected this course as their rank 1 choice. Okay. Ariel is reading this course as a second major requirement because Ariel is a life science major. Belle, on the other hand, is also reading psychology as a second major, but Belle is a social work primary major. All right. So both of them are reading this course as a second major requirement. So again, if there's only one seat left, one vacancy left, who gets this last seat between Ariel and Belle? And the answer in this case is Belle, because actually in terms of priority points, both of them are the same. So that's when the tiebreaker comes into play, and the tiebreak between Ariel and Belle goes to Belle because Belle's primary major, which is social work, belongs to the same faculty of psychology, right? So both social work and psychology are majors offered by the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, whereas life science, which is Ariel's primary major, comes from the Faculty of Science. So that's why Belle, in this case, gets the tiebreak over Ariel to get this last slot in this psychology course. Okay, now I have to note that this is assuming both students have already fulfilled their minimum workload, because if one of them has not and the other one has, then this course will be given to the student who have yet to fulfill the minimum workload. Okay, as you can see, the student's home faculty being used as a tiebreaker is the second order of consideration behind using minimum workload as a tiebreak. Scenario 3, both Michelle and Michael have selected a particular life science course. Michelle is a physics major and reading this life science course as an unrestricted elective. Michael is a math major, also wanting to read this life science course as an unrestricted elective. Both of them, everything else being the same, year 4, first rank preference. In this case, it will be down to randomization. So it is possible that both students may or may not get this course because it will just be the luck of the draw that the system will randomly assign students if everything else being the same. Okay. Now, I think it is important to go through one or two of the menu bars on the left side of your CourseReg, because they are those that you will use most often. So if you go under select courses on the left side menu bar, you'll be able to navigate to pages where you will be able to see important information. For example, popularity as well as vacancy information. All right. So vacancy information tells you how many positions are available for students in that particular round of CourseReg. So as you can see here, a vacancy of 10 as opposed to a vacancy of 210 gives you an indication of how likely a student will be successful, right? Because if there are only 10 vacancies compared to 210, then if you are a student trying to register for this course, you should go for the course. I mean, if everything else are the same, you should try to go for a course with more vacancies. Now, if you look at the class L1 and L2 here, right? L1 has 10 vacancies, L2 has 210 vacancies. Now, some of the times for large enrollment courses, there will be multiple lecture groups opened up. So there are 2 different lecture groups, for example, in this course. All right. These 2 different lecture groups will have different lecture timings, but they teach the same thing. Students taking these courses will take the same exam, will be assessed in the same way. So it's just because there is too many students taking the course, the department who offering this course offers 2 lecture groups for it. So you can register in either one of these 2 lecture groups, L1 or L2, no difference. All right. The lecturer teaching the course may or may not be the same for the 2 lecture groups, but I have to stress that you will be assessed in the same way. All right. So if you are worried that, oh, I may not be able to secure a place in L1 because there are only 10 vacancies there, so you may choose to try to register for L2 instead. For every course that you try to put into your ranked preference list, it is possible to add a reserve list course. A reserve list course is one where you can tell the system upfront, saying that, okay, if I'm not successful, if I happen to lose out on my choice, please try to register me in one of my courses that I've indicated in my reserve list. Okay, so this is in the event that the main course list is not successfully given to you. And for each rank, you are allowed to choose up to 2 backup options. So try to make use of this feature. Useful. It is quite a useful feature rather than to wait and say, okay, if I'm not successful for round 1, let me try again in round 2. By adding in your reserve classes in this feature, if you are not successful for this course in round 1, immediately the system will look for your reserve list and try to give you your reserve list course also in round 1. So there's no need to wait until round 2, right? Okay, so CourseReg is also used for you to register for tutorials. Now, most of the time, any course that you're registered for would have a lecture component as well as a tutorial component, and sometimes even a lab component. So after being successfully registered for a course, you are given a lecture space, you are given a lecture seat. You are then required to go ahead to ballot for a tutorial class as well. So there are 2 rounds of formal tutorial registration period, one happening on August 12th, the other one on August 14th. So there is an add swap round happening on August 18th. So your course lecture seat must first be successful. So you must first be successfully registered for a course before you are allowed to select tutorials. Now, tutorials is not on a first-come, first-served basis, so there's no need to go in and say, oh, I want to choke this time slot, choke that time slot. There's no chopping here. Every round, you just go in and decide which are the tutorial time slots that will fit into your timetable. And for those that fits in your timetable, you rank those tutorial time slots from your highest preferred ones to the lowest preferred ones. So you can rank up to 20 if there are 20 different classes for you to rank to begin with. So if there are only 5 classes and out of the 5 classes, there are 3 that fits in your timetable, then you decide which one is your first choice, second choice, third choice. Okay. Now, again, if demand does not exceed supply, everybody gets allocated their first choice. But in any particular instance, if a time slot has more people who wants it compared to the number of vacancies, then there will be random balloting to decide who gets that particular time slot. If you are not successful in that particular time slot, then you'll be considered for your second choice time slot. Still not successful in second choice time slot, then go down to third choice time slot. And every particular time slot, the demand and supply numbers are compared. If demand does not exceed supply, everybody gets allocated. All right. So I hope this is clear in terms of how tutorial time slots are allocated. So after 2 rounds of tutorial registration, if you're still not successful, or if you are not happy with what you have been allocated, you can try to make changes during the add swap period. So add swap period is for you to still try to add a tutorial group that is that you so far have not been successfully registered for. Sometimes there may be vacancies opened up during this add swap period. So do not be surprised. They said, hey, how come I was not successful for my first choice time slots through 2 rounds? And then suddenly that particular time slot opens up during the add swap period. The reason could be because a student decides to drop that time slot or drop that course altogether. So it is possible that vacancy could open up, right? Or if a student who have secured that particular time slot actually decides to say, I want to swap with someone else. So sometimes if you post that swap request, if you want to change to something else, a particular time slot may open up for you. All right. Now, in the add swap period, after the add swap period, if you're still not successful, you can then submit an appeal. But you submit your appeal through the proper channel, which is through CourseReg. So please do not go around writing emails to every single administrator, every single lecturer, and say, oh, I couldn't get this time slot. Can you please add me in here, add me in there? Those kind of appeals is not valid and will not be considered. All appeals have to be done through CourseReg. All right. So if you're still not able to find a suitable tutorial group, the faculty can actually drop the whole course for you in week 5 because you must have a registered tutorial group before your entire course can be treated as official. So you must have the lecture and you must have tutorial or labs. All right. So you cannot say, oh, never mind, let's just forget it. I'm not going to register myself in any tutorial group just because I can't find one that fits into my timetable. If there is a situation like this, all right, that course will actually be dropped for you. And you don't want that to happen. Okay. Now, how do you check what classes you've been registered in? So again, this is from the menu bar on the left side. You'll navigate to view my classes. Once you navigate here, you'll be able to see all the classes that has been registered successfully for you. And this is not just for lectures. You'll be able to see all your successful registrations for lecture, labs, and tutorials as well. All right. So you will see that last column on the right. Enrolled means you are successfully registered there. All right. If you go there and you realize that, hey, how come it's not there? That means you have not been successful and you may wish to find out why. Okay, dropping of courses. Now you are allowed to drop a course as long as after dropping that course, the remaining units that you have left registered still is above the minimum workload requirement. If dropping a course results in your remaining units below 18 units, then you will not be allowed to drop a course by yourself. You would have to write in and substantiate with the reason why you still want to drop the course. Now, once you drop a course, all the associated classes for that course, the lectures, the tutorials, the labs will be dropped for you. However, if in the add swap round, remember, if you were to drop a tutorial or a lab class that has been registered previously, you will remain enrolled in that course. Your registration for that course is not removed. So make sure if you're dropping a course, you have to drop a course and not drop the tutorial or the lab class. Because some students in the past make a mistake and thinks that, oh, I thought I've already dropped the course, when what they have actually done is just to drop the tutorial or lab class that were registered. So that course remains on the course list that they are registered for, and they didn't go for any of the lectures, didn't go for tutorial, didn't go for lab, and yet given a 0, and then they start wondering why. All right. Now, there are actually timelines that allows you to drop the course that can have very different implications on what is reflected in your transcript. So I'm going to show you next the dropping of courses. You can start dropping courses from the 25th of August. And when you start doing so, as long as it is done before 29th September, right, what is going to be reflected will be a W grade in your transcript. Okay, so if you don't even want that W grade appearing in the transcript, W here represents withdrawal. Huh? If you don't even want that to appear, drop that course before 25th August, which is a good, 2-3 weeks before the start, after the start of the semester. So there should be ample time for students to make a decision. They say that, oh, this course is not for me. I don't want this course to appear in my transcript. I'm going to drop it. Then as long as you do so before 25th August, it will not appear. If you drop it after 25th August, but before 29th September, it will appear as a W. This W cannot be exercised with an SU. However, it will not affect your GPA because there is no grade points associated with a W grade. You do that dropping through CourseReg as well. However, if you make a decision too late, right, from 29th of September onwards, if you decide this is not the course for me, I want to drop it, you will incur an F grade. And for courses that you incur an F grade, your GPA is going to be affected because for an F grade, there is grade point. The grade point is 0. And this F grade, again, cannot be exercised on the SU basis. All right. So in this case, please consider it very carefully. And if you need any assistance, if you need to make that decision, you may wish to write to your home faculty first and go through your options because this is not to be taken lightly. All right, I want to touch a little bit on appeals because administrators always find this a very busy period due to the sheer number of appeals that they have to consider. So I want to make sure that everybody is clear and do your appeals through the proper channels. So all the appeals must be submitted through CourseReg. Okay, so like I've mentioned, do not send emails all over the place. Please do not send emails to the dean. Please do not send emails to the vice dean, to the associate deans, to the department heads. These appeals need to be submitted through CourseReg before the appropriate administrators and officers look at your appeal and determines whether they can be approved or not. There is also an appeal type that you need to specify. So make sure you select the appropriate appeal type. Do not submit duplicate appeals. The more duplicates that you submit, the less likely it is going to be looked at because, right, people will look at the appeal once, move on, make a decision. But if you continuously apply appeal for the same thing, all right, it will be deprioritized because the officers looking at it will have to look at other appeals as well. So what are some of the appeal types as shown in the left column of this table? So I'm not going to go through every single one. Depending on what is the nature of the appeal, please select the correct appeal type. Why this is important? Because different appeal types will be routed to different administrators overseeing that particular appeal type. So if you select the wrong appeal type, your appeal may be is likely going to be bounced from left to right, up to down, until the correct person sees it. So if you want your appeal to be looked at promptly, select the correct appeal type. All right. And when the appeal for that particular appeal type starts and when it ends. So please take note of that as well. If you are not able to secure the tutorial time slot, as I've mentioned, all right, submit an appeal after the add drop round. So please do not, during round 1, during round 2, already you don't see what you want, you just go around and appeal. People, the administrators are going to advise you, please only submit your appeals after the ad swap round. The reason is because the tutorial time slot that you want may still open up during the ad swap round, as I've explained earlier. Okay? Now, my final couple of slides here, I'm just going to very briefly tell you about this because remember, writing and communication is a requirement in as one of the core curriculum requirement for FOS. All right. So this writing and communication course, we have SP1541, which is offered through the Center of English and Language Communication. And there is actually another partnering course called SP1541X. Now, for both these courses, they share common goals. All right. The reason is to make sure that science graduates have the ability to communicate science to laymen. So, for example, imagine you need to tell your parents, your siblings, your friends, your relatives, what is science, or what are the different aspects of science, different majors, what does it encompass. So there must be a skill involved in talking about science to the general public. Okay, so the difference between 1541 and 1541X is that the X version of the course will include a 1-week field trip to a Southeast Asian country. And during that field trip, you will be interacting with the local community and practicing science communication through interacting with the local community. So SP1541, the non-X version, will have that public engagement done locally at the Singapore Science Centre, whereas the 1541X version will have experiential learning overseas. So for this coming semester, the two possible venues that the experiential learning overseas trip will be going to would be in Sabah or in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Okay, so I want to encourage all of you to find out more about SP1541 as well as the X version by joining one of the specific Zoom sessions that are conducted or hosted by CELC on either the 9th or 10th of July at the timing specified here. So how to join in these Zoom sessions, the Zoom details as well as the QR codes to log into these Zoom sessions will be sent to you via email after today's briefing. All right, so these are the two slides that I want to very briefly talk about for this pair of science communication courses that all of you will have to read at some point in your candidature. Now, for information assistance, so make sure you direct your queries, who to contact during the CourseReg period. All right, there are help desks, hotlines, emails as listed in this slide. So make sure you direct your queries to the correct office. You probably have already also received the welcome letter signed off by myself that gives you information on CourseReg. So if you really need to send in requests for assistance or you have queries, please use the online query form, all right, as indicated in the online letter that will direct you to complete that form online before one of the administrators in the Dean's Office UG section will look at your query and reply to you accordingly. Okay, communications by Office of OUR, it is always done, all right, via emails, and announcements will be made in your student portal or Canvas. So make sure you check your emails regularly. I'm not referring to your Gmails or whatever emails, your NUS official student email. Please do not let that mailbox continue to grow with unread messages because very often there are very important messages there and you should pay attention to them. Okay, so I've come to the end of my session on the briefing. I'll hand the time back to Eugene. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Ng. Right, so we have come to the end of this morning's session. So thank you everyone once again for joining us this morning. We also have the various departments talk later in the afternoon, so do join these programs as well. Okay, in the meanwhile, we still have still notice that there's some more questions coming in, so we'll just keep this session open, okay, so that we can answer any questions you may have. All right, so thank you everyone for attending. Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll be ending this session shortly. Thank you.